welcome back to the Movable Feasters, Tasting Level 3, the podcast where we explore wines through the lens of our personal WSET 3 learning journey. I am Andrea from the Movable Feasters, and each week we dive into a new wine, unpacking its grape, its region, and tasting it using the SAT. Whether you are studying for WSET or just love discovering new wines, this podcast is for you. Hello and welcome to episode number 5 of the Movable Feasters Tasting Level 3. In this episode, I'm going to Spain again, to Priorat. As I've said in one of the previous episodes, we have been a couple of weekends ago in Penedès, where we got the chance to try a lot of cavas, but we didn't miss the chance to spend a couple of days in Barcelona. So being in the heart of Catalonia, we, of course, also got the chance to try some of their other wines. Priorat is also a region that lies in Catalonia, inland from the city of Tarragona. And this region is marked by steep terraced vineyards on rugged hillsides. So, as you notice, I'm jumping right into the wine theory regarding the Priorat region of Spain. The climate in this region is warm Mediterranean, but it is tempered by altitude and cooling breezes. The summers are long, hot, and dry, and they have significant day-night temperature variations. And these temperature variations are the ones that help preserve acidity in the wines. Another characteristic of the Priorat region, or the hallmark of this region, is the soil, which is called licorella soil. This is a mix of red slate and some small particles of mica. This soil retains heat, aids drainage, but also retains water because of its depth. So it gives the wines a distinct mineral edge. Regarding the grape varieties that are used in this region, the old vines of Garnacha and Carinera, or Carignan, if you know it that way, remain the core of many blends. They're valued for their concentration and for their structure. Both of these grapes are late ripening, so the fact that the summers are long help give the grapes enough time to ripen properly. Many of the modern winemakers also include some other grapes in their blends, especially Cabernet Sauvignon, in order to add complexity to the wines. So going back to the soils, we have low nutrient soils. We have old vines, as we said, so that would give low yields. That means that the wines that are produced are really intense and complex. On top of that comes the fact that the vines are grown as bush vines, and they're grown on steep slopes. So that means that mechanization is impossible. And that means that picking the grapes is very expensive and very time consuming. So we have low yields, we have expensive and time consuming grape picking, and that, of course, takes us to the fact that Priorat wines are never cheap. But if we look at the wines that are being produced, we have full-bodied wines with high alcohol. They have pronounced tannins and they have intense flavors. So they have a high alcohol concentration, and they have concentrated black fruit accompanied by toasty aromas of new French oak. So you have really concentrated, full body, high alcohol, intense flavored wines that are actually really worth the money you give for them. If you get to try a Priorat wine that has seen some bottle age, you will notice also tertiary notes of leather, maybe dried fruit, and some earthy complexity. So they just get better with time. Now, going to the tasting part of the episode. The tasting that we did was in a beautiful restaurant in Barcelona. So it was just a simple open tasting. We got a 2021 blend of 50% Grenache, 40% Carignana, 5% Merlot, and even 5% Syrah. So, going through the systematic approach to tasting, we start with the appearance. The clarity, well, it was a clear wine. It had a deep intensity, so that what you would expect from a Priorat wine. We got a garnet color, and we already noticed in the slow developing legs that the alcohol level was pretty high. On the nose, the condition of the wine, it was clean. It had a medium plus intensity, and it had all the aroma characteristics, so primary, secondary, and tertiary already. We had primary aromas of black currant, blackberry, and black plum. So, as expected, all black fruit. We got secondary aromas. The WSET book mentions toasty aromas. We didn't really get those, but we definitely got some smoke. And as tertiary aromas, we got some leather. On the palate, the wine was off dry. It was not really dry, so off dry. It had a high acidity. It had high, ripe, round, and very velvety tannins. So high tannins as described, but they were definitely very well integrated and pleasant. The alcohol level was on the palate as well really high, and the body was accordingly full. We got pronounced flavor intensities with dark chocolate, coffee, baked plums, and marmalade. And the wine definitely had a very long finish. So, going through the assessment of quality using the Blick, the wine was balanced, it had length, it had intensity, and it had complexity. So, we gave it an outstanding title. It was definitely an outstanding wine. Regarding the level of readiness, we said the wine was good to be drank now, but it definitely still had potential of aging since it had high acidity, high alcohol levels, and it still had this pronounced primary aromas and flavors. So, comparing the wine that we have tasted with the information you get from the book, we can say we pretty much nailed it. So, we got a wine that definitely goes right into the described characteristic of the Priorat wines that you could expect. As a conclusion, we can say, tasting this wine, that you definitely understand why these wines are so highly priced, but that the money you pay is not paid in vain. What I forgot to mention, and I'm just gonna end with this, is the fact that WSET recommends in their lists as essential wines the red wines from Spain, one from Rioja, a Rioja Reserva or Gran Reserva, a wine from Ribera del Duero, and the Priorat wine we just talked about. As white wines, you also have essential wines, the Rias Baixas or Rueda, but you also get an optional red wine, a monastrell based wine, for example, from Jumila. So I hope you enjoyed this episode and that you're gonna taste as well a Priorat wine in the next days or weeks. And stay tuned in the next episode. I'm going back to a sparkling wine and we're going to talk about champagne. That's a wrap for today's episode of Tasting Level 3. Don't forget to follow us, the Movable Feasters, on Instagram for more tasting adventures. We do a reel on each podcast episode where you can leave us a comment or your remarks on the episode. Cheers to learning one glass at a time.